client.
Sir, if I may, if with the kind permission of the chairman and the committee, I wish to manifest that there is no way I can advise my client, Your Honors, at this point because his phone has been taken away from him by the Senate. So that is the only concern I wish to bring before this honorable committee, Your Honors. Not that I want to speak directly to the committee. I apologize if I have breached any rules of the committee, but there is no other way since we are on Zoom for me to relay this information to the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
According to Section 13 of the Rules of the House of Representatives, Paragraph 4, sir, you are only limited to advising your client and you cannot participate in the hearing directly.
Yes, Your Honor, I am aware of that. In that case, Your Honor, since I cannot communicate with my client directly, may I address him instead, Your Honor, considering that I'm not physically present?
You can address him now.
Yes, Your Honor, I have been advised in the Senate, Your Honors, we have formally written Senator Richard Gordon, his capacity as chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, that my client no longer wishes to participate in any further proceedings, Your Honor. Yesterday or the day before, my co-counsel, Attorney Don Rico Capunan, met with Mr. Ong in order to obtain his sentiments with respect to this hearing. And it was relayed to me by Attorney Capunan, and he's here present to affirm my statement, that Mr. Ong has also signified that if only to be fair to the Senate, he wishes to be excused, although if there are reasonable questions to be propounded by the committee, is more than willing to answer them, Your Honor. That is all that I wish to manifest. Again, my apologies for taxing the patience of the committee and taking its time. Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you. Mr. Lincoln Ong, are you here?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman. Magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon. Mr. Lincoln Ong, during the course of your contracts with the government, how often would you and Mr. Wang Zhuyan speak to each other?
Mr. Chairman, I think we always discuss the projects as a group, as a board. So we talk to each other very often.
Every day?
I can say that as a group.
How is it that despite being in the same company, you are both on record providing contradicting and inconsistent statements?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we are contradicting ourselves among the board. Baka there's some misunderstanding, probably, Mr. Chairman.
With the funding from Mr. Michael Yang, what is your final take on that? Because this is our last hearing, I want to know the whole truth. What is the participation of Michael Yang in your company?
Mr. Chairman, allow me to clarify. We indeed seek for financial help or assistance or whatever we can call it kay Mr. Michael Yang. And then, true enough, he was able to help us to secure the goods and bring the goods here dito sa Pilipinas. Landed talaga siya. So, in our perspective, kung ano mang gustong angulo ni Mr. Yang, mayroon po kaming obligation kay Mr. Yang. So, kung saan tawaging utang man yan or loan man yan, para sa akin hindi po importante. Para sa akin po is tinulungan po kami para maiparating yung mga goods. Meron po kami obligation na kailangan bayaran. Yun po yung sa side ko po.
Di ba before ikong translator ni Mr. Yang?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
How many years?
If my memory serves me right, it's starting at the end of 2016 until end of 2019, Mr. Chairman.
Tapos ito ng Pharmaline ang pinasukan mo.
Mr. Chairman, accidental din this family na to eh. I was if Mr. Chairman allow me to further explain about my situation is umalis po ako. I decided to do something on my own in the later part of 2019 because nabuntis ko po yung girlfriend ko. Ayun. So, gusto ko maghanap ng buhay. I wanna have a family. So, yun, wala na ako kay Mr. Michael Yang. And then, pumutok po yung taal. And then we started to do some small business, you know, as a group. And then here comes the COVID situation. So ito po, diyan po nagsimula lahat yan, Mr. Chairman.
Oo nga. So hindi ka ba dami ni Mr. Michael yon? Are you a dummy for him?
Hindi po, Mr. Chairman. I have my pride. I'm a thinking individual, Mr. Chairman.
So, okay. Thank you, Mr. Lincoln Ong, for your statements. We will please be aware that this hearing is the last, so please do not log out until the final minute. Thank you. Mr. Wang Zhuyen, are you present?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm present.
Same question. How often do you talk to Mr. Lincoln Ong?
I think we any of the projects, if we are going to pursue any projects and the way to approach it, we will discuss together as a team within the board.
Okay. Why is it that despite that you talk often, you are both on record providing contradicting and inconsistent statements in your business dealings?
I think as explained in the first in that specific Senate hearing, it was I don't believe it was a contradicting statement. I think as if you notice the way that a Senate hearing is conducted, whenever we name a person, that person is brought up, scrutinized, and harassed in many ways. We name a supplier, the supplier is brought up, his supplier is brought up. I mean, we wish to shed the light with the truth, but the company name is already in the drain by what the Senate is doing. But if we are still young, we still want to do business, and by naming people, you would drag their name, drag anyone's name along the way, then it's very difficult. I think at that point in time, Lincoln was considering that he just does not want to implicate people who have helped him. And specifically in this case, Mr. Michael Yang helped him with the financing because the company was not able to do that. Therefore, and I thought that I saw the hesitance in him, and therefore I quickly stood up and said to speak the truth, because despite the pressure that we might have from naming people, but it is necessary to speak the truth on that matter. So that's why I think there was a miscommunication and difference in our statement at that point in time.
You mentioned in the Senate hearings that Farmali had a letter of credit amounting to 500 million with Union Bank around November 2020. You then later tried to amend this statement that it was not true after the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee brought up that Farmali had more than 4 billion with Union Bank. Can you present to this committee substantive bank documents to prove your updated claim? Can you provide the committee document?
Mr. Chairman, as I've said in the Senate hearing, I did not have that source document with me. That I believed it was a letter of credit, but I was subsequently corrected by the bank that was a certificate of credit. And I'm willing to address that because I wasn't finance trained, so I may have spelled it wrongly, and the definition of documents may not be as clear to me. However, I will state on record that we never used that letter of credit or that certificate of credit in name, but I can supply that original document for that certificate of credit to the.
So you did not use that certificate of credit?
We did not use that certificate of credit, no.
Why? Please explain to the committee why you only set to do so days after your religious statement, and and only when that you contested it?
I was in communication with the bank to address that statement. However, I thought it was not in my place to just raise a point before being called by the chairman and questioned on this matter, and I was not given a chance to address that in another statement. And as soon as I'm aware of my my word of mistake in my choice of definition of that document, I immediately wrote a letter to address that to the bank, and then I was immediately at that same hearing. The moment Mr. Chairman Gordon questioned me on it, I was immediate to rectify that because that is what it is, and I cannot change that.
So, what again is your nationality, Mr. Wang Zhuyan? Are you Singaporean, Taiwanese, or Chinese?
I'm Singaporean, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are you a dummy for Michael Yang?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm not a dummy for Michael Young or anyone.
What is his participation in your company?
Mr. Michael Young's participation is solely on the supply and financing side of certain projects. Not all projects, I need to repeat that. Not all projects are financed by him. Not all supplies came from him. For projects that are, I would say, big and require his expertise and relationships in the Chinese manufacturing side, we did seek help, and in Lincoln, on behalf of our company, seek help, and he did offer his help.
Thank you, Mr. Wang Zhuyan. Mr. Mohit Dargani, are you online?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Did you instruct Cell Grace Mago to change the manufacturing date on the face shields?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Additionally, it is alleged that warehouse workers were told to repack even the dented and dirty medical grade face shields. What can you say about this, that you ordered this to be done?
No, Mr. Chairman. No instructions were given except for the repacking of the inconsistently numbered face shields and to make it into 10 face shields into one pack. That was the only instructions given.
Ms. Twinkle Dargani?
Present po, Mr. Chairman.
Are you aware as president, you are the president, right? You're the previous president, is that correct?
Yes, I was the previous president po.
Are you
I was
aware?
acting president.
Are you aware of your company's financial records and transactions as the president?
No po.
No. So are you just a figurehead or active president?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, sir?
A figurehead. You're not an active president doing day-to-day.
Yes po, yes. I'm not part of daily operations po.
So you were just put in by your brother as an additional member of the board. Is that correct?
Yes po.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Yang?
Chairman.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Yang, since this is the last hearing, can you provide information on the so-called friends that you introduced to formally that allegedly funded part of the contract awarded to the company? Can you, since this is the last hearing, we would need the information on the friends who
If
you don't want their names to be
如果你不希望把他们的名字提供在公众上面，
my personal guarantee that it will not come out of any document or report. We just need to
可以
know
私下
that
提供给他
our
们，
legitimate
他会
friends.
保证这个信息不会出来。
好的，Chairman，你刚说这些朋友确实不想给他们公众的这个信息，因为他们是生意人，也不想参与这些。因为他们是只有提供货物跟基金帮忙的，他们是生意人。到时候我私下会把名字给他们。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that this businessman that he referred, they do not want their information to be disclosed to the public because they're businessman po.
Yes, we will not, please trust us, we will not divulge it to the public. The public including nobody that is not part of the committee will be given the names. We just want to know if these names are just made up by you or there are
他是想知道这些名字是不是你自己提供的，
existing.
或者是事实上的人名。
你刚说这些名字也是我提供的是事实的，中国这几个人他们有交代我们不能提供这些信息，因为他们生意人他们有自己的。
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, these are actual people po, and these people when communicated with Mr. Yang and asked him not to disclose their information daw po.
I will have no option. I will propose in the committee that if you do not give it,
如果你不提供的，
require subpoena
他们就会出一个传票嘛，或者我们私下提供给。
because this
我私下可以给他名字。
Okay. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he can disclose it personally to you, the information po.
okay, I will give my cell phone number later or email to you through the committee secretariat. I thank you very much because this will help us in our findings, but I can assure you it will not be published even in
这些
the
不会对外公布嘛？这些。
你刚说我会去问对方一下，行，我会提供。
Okay. Yes, Mr. Chairman, he'll just get he'll talk again to the party spot and then we'll provide the information.
nothing more, just the names and their place of business. That's all.
Okay, 他只要名字和他们在哪里做生意。
好，
Okay. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Next to interpolate is the Honorable Johnny Pimentel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sound check lang. Do you hear me audio?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have had already 3 hearings regarding this subject matter, and I just would like again to refresh the minds of our colleagues and our resource persons on what we have found out so far. As I've said, the reason why we are having these hearings is to shed light on some issues, to clarify some issues. I might sound redundant again, but as I've said, this must be shown to the public of our the facts that have been established so far. Number 1, it is very clear that there was no overpricing that has been done in this transaction. In the last hearing, I was able to ask the resource person coming from DTI, and she herself said that in March or April of 2020, they had a price monitoring, because one of the basic functions of DTI, or one of their mandate, is to have a price monitoring in times of calamities and emergencies. At that time, Mr. Chair, we found out that the monitored price of face mask was 100 to 120. This time, marami siguro hindi maniniwala niyan, but at that time, the supply of face mask was very, very scarce. Alam naman po natin, ang presyo ng isang commodity, ang nagdidikta niyan ikangang law of supply and demand. Now, if you'll base the price of the face mask that formerly supplied, it was 27, I believe. So it is only 1/3 of the monitored price of DTI. So way, way below than the monitored price. It was also below the price ceiling set by DOH and DTI of 28 pesos per piece. And more than that, COA testified that actually there was no issue of overpricing that was contained in the report. It was another issue, but not of overpricing. Number two, we were also able to establish that the procurement process that was undertaken by DBMPS was legal and above board. Yes, it did not conform with the requirements of Republic Act 9184, the Procurement Act, because the process that was followed in the procurement of funds in the Bayaning Act are exempted from Republic 9184. Therefore, the requirements or documents that are needed for the public bidding under Republic 9184 does not apply in the negotiated procurement emergency cases because there is a provision in Bayanihan 1 Act that it is exempted from 9184. Number three, we were also able to establish that all the goods were delivered and payment was made after delivery. This was answered, or rather the resource persons coming from DBMPS, from other agencies testified that there are documents to prove that the goods were delivered and in fact were received by our frontliners. Number four, we also were able to find out that Farmally did not actually corner the supplies that was funded under Bayanihan 1 Act because the suppliers for the PPE were 17 suppliers and the suppliers for the face masks were 8 suppliers. So out of 42 billion pesos, they were not able to corner the majority of the funds. Now on the fifth issue, which is more contentious, is with regard to the expiry date. Actually, we were able to hear from the testimony of resource persons coming from DOH and other agencies that all the face masks, all the face shields, all the PPE that were procured on April of 2020 were fully delivered, all accounted for, were received by our frontliners. Ngayon, tinanong ko si Secretary Duque at that time, Secretary, nagamit ho ba lahat nung sinupply nung Farmally? Ang sabi po niya, nagamit naman lahat. So I believe that the expiry issue is not an issue actually. Kasi kung sabi natin expired yan, kagaya ng pagkain na namapapanis o canned goods na papanis, hindi na natin magagamit. So, in any transaction, tinatanong ng COA, nalugi ba ang gobyerno sa transaksyon na ito? Yun ang tanong natin. Hindi po nalugi ang gobyerno natin sa transaksyon na ito dahil nagamit naman lahat ng mga items that was procured under Bayanihan 1 Act. Now let us now proceed, or rather let me proceed now to my questioning or to my interpellation. Do I have a representative from RITM? Comsec? Comsec?
Yes, Your Honor.
Meron ba tayong resource person sa RITM?
Opo, we have Dr. Celia Carlos, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. For Dr. Celia Carlos, during the Senate hearing, one of the senators said na dapat daw 24 to 36 months ang shelf life ng COVID test kits. Totoo ba ito? Dr. Carlos?
In the first purchase request, sir, That was what we indicated under specifications. Expiry date of 24 to 36 months for extraction kits and 12 to 24 months for PCR kits. Based on our experience of the use of such kits for testing other organisms.
Yung sinupply ho ba, ilan no ang shelf life nun?
I was not directly involved in the procurement process, but the information given to me was the expiry was within 6 months.
In spite of the expiry ng 6 months, well, accordingly, no? Kasi you were not privy to that, but according to your information, 6 months yung shelf life na sinupply na COVID test kits. Pero tinanggap pa rin po ng DOH o ng RITM yung kahit na 6 months yung shelf life, hindi po ba?
As far as I was informed po, it was accepted.
Bakit po nyo tinanggap yun kahit na 6 months na lang ang shelf life?
Again po, based on the information from our technical staff, during the time, the PCR and extraction kits specific for SARS-CoV-2 were very new, and therefore the manufacturers had no experience on the shelf life of these kits beyond 6 months. So the manufacturers could not indicate in their IFUs or information for users that the shelf life could be longer than 6 months, based on the limited experience.
Okay, ang tanong ko po, Doktor, pero nagamit ba natin yung COVID test kits na sinupply kahit na ito ay 6 months lang ang shelf life? Nagamit ba natin lahat?
Again po, I was not privy to the operations because it was another DOH official who was in charge of the network. So it may be better if the appropriate person is asked.
Sino po ba ang appropriate person na dapat tanungin ko dito? Para I just want to establish that again, just like the expiry of the face shields or face mask rather, itong ginagawa nilang issue na dapat daw 24 to 36 months ang COVID test kits, kung nagamit naman natin lahat, kahit na 6 months na lang yung shelf life, pero kung nagamit natin lahat, wala pa rin logi ang gobyerno doon. Hindi po ba? So sino po ba ang pwede natin matanungin yan na kung nagamit ba lahat ng COVID test kits? Who's the right person?
The official po in charge of the COVID lab network is Assistant Secretary Santiago.
Anyway, but I'm sure kasi nagamit siguro yan dahil wala na po.
Mr. Santiago is present.
Mr. Santiago is present. Okay, good. Mr. Santiago, can you answer my question? Mr. Santiago?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Opo. I'm here po.
Yes. Kasi tinatanong ko kay Dr. Carlos, no? Siguro nadinig mo naman kanina, kasi isang issue na lumalabas, dapat daw, sabi dun sa Senado, na ang shelf life ng COVID test kits is dapat 24 to 36 months. Pero yung sinupply po daw ng COVID test kits is only for 6 months. Ngayon, ang tanong ko, in spite na 6 months ba, nagamit ba lahat yung sinupply na COVID test kits?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, according to the report, the test kits that is being questioned or the subject of inquiry was all utilized po. Wala pong nag-expired. And dagdagan ko lang po yung sinasabi ni Dr. Celia Carlos na during that time, and even this time po, 6 months po talaga yung expiration ng lahat na testing kits. Kasi nga po, it's a novel virus. So bago po siya. Kaya po, although ang nilagay kasi ng RITM is 24 months to 36 months. Kasi po, doon yan sa mga ibang pathogens or microorganism. Pero ito pong sa SARS-CoV-2 or the COVID, bago po ito. Kaya po 6 months lang talaga yung shelf life ng mga test kits. Over to you, sir.
Eh bakit nag-i-insist ang Senado na kailangan daw 24 to 36 months?
Well, as explained po by Dr. Celia Carlos, kasi sila po yung National Reference Lab, dun po sa mga ibang pathogens or microorganisms before COVID times, yun po ang mga expiration dates ng mga test kits. Kaya po yun po ang nilagay doon sa specification during the procurement process. Over to you, sir.
But anyway, as we have now established, nagamit naman lahat yung mga COVID test kits, wala naman nag-expire nung paggamit natin. So in short, the objective of the government when they procured the items was completed or consummated. Now, thank you, Mr. Santiago. How many minutes do we still have, Comsec?
You have 7 minutes.
Eh, tutuloy ko na lang ito kay Mon Abrea. Mr. Mon Abrea, are you on board?
He excused himself. Mukhang na natakot kay DS Marcoleta.
Ganun po ba? Eh, may mga tanong sana ako kay Mr. Mon Abrea. Pero anyway, because he testified in the Senate about due diligence. Pero yung sinasabi niyang due diligence ng mga requirements is not required under the
Na-cover na po ni DS Marcoleta in the last hearing na ano niya na po yan. Natanong niya na, na-establish na po.
Okay, so therefore, Mr. Chair, I have no further questions. Maybe I will reserve my other questions on the next round.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Vice Chair Johnny. Next to interpolate is the Honorable Joao Jimenez.